This is a message to all my Canadian friends out there. There's a lot of confusion about how our government works and what it's supposed to do, what powers our government has, what constitutional rights we have. Some people even say that we don't even have a constitution here in Canada, and that Canada is simply just a corporation. I would like to point out a few people that have been going around saying that now that Parliament is dissolved, it's basically a free-for-all here in Canada right now, as we have no government. I'd like to point out that that is not entirely true. Our Prime Minister is not our head of state here in Canada. The Queen of Canada is our head of state, and absolutely nothing has changed in regards to her position, her office, or her prerogative rights. Canada remains intact 100%, regardless if there's a sitting parliament or not. That's the beauty of our country. We have someone that has higher authority than the Prime Minister himself, somewhat of a buffer zone between our corrupt government and the people. Our Crown ensures that Canada moves forward regardless of what bums happen to get elected into office. As I mentioned earlier, our Prime Minister and those positions are temporary and limited. And it's for a reason. Unlike our friends to the south, who have a president, the President of the United States has the supreme authority. There is no one higher than him, according to the Constitution. However, if the President decides he wants to go beyond his constitutional limitations, he can issue executive orders, basically allowing him to take on additional powers that he might not otherwise have. He's not so limited. It's a different story here in Canada. We have a limited government. What we're seeing in Parliament is democracy in progress. Real democracy. Not where democracy where 56% of the people can dictate what happens to the rest. What we see here is the minority of the minority putting together their votes to take down a corrupt government that, regardless of how you slice it, has to go. Regardless of whether you think conservative policies are better than liberal policies or better than NDP policies. Prime Minister Harper was found in contempt. If he should use this opportunity to form a majority government, Canada will be in a sad state because they will have a Prime Minister who is a criminal running their country with more power than what he had before the election. There's a lot of confusion about our system of government here in Canada. We have a constitutional monarchy. Constitutional monarchies are amongst the best countries in the world. A republic form of government ensures us nothing from tyranny or from corporate control or from usurpation. Look at the United States, they're a prime example. One of the biggest republics have the very same problems that we're experiencing here in Canada under a constitutional monarchy. An executive that is out of control. No form of government is going to prevent someone that has unethical and a personal agenda that they're trying to fulfill via their office. No form of society is going to eliminate those people amongst them that wish to do harm against the people. It's up to the people to decide on a set of rules and to ensure they are enforced. Regardless of what system you install, you're going to have to deal with that. If we continue with our apathy towards government here in Canada, regardless of what system we decide to put in, we're going to be facing the same issues. If we decide on a new set of rules, who are going to be the ones to enforce or to ensure that those new rules are enforced? If we can't enforce the rules that we have now, what makes us think that we're going to be able to enforce the rules that we install later? If we allow international intervention or assistance in toppling our government or in removing our crown, which is only possible via revolution, what will happen is once we form our new type of government, and I don't care what kind of government you think is going to be better than what we've had for the last 143 years, what's going to stop those remnants or those who we kick out of office from forming their own revolution and appealing to the international community for intervention against their repressive new government? The very last thing we want to do is take down our system of government via illegal revolution. We need our country to stay intact. The globalists and those who seek one world government need to see our nation fall. They need to remove our sovereignty, because in a one world governmental system, under their New World Order plan, you cannot have sovereign nations. You can't have independent nations. That's the whole point. Now the question is, since our government and our leaders have no power, no constitutional authority, no jurisdiction to dissolve our Constitution, which they are bound to, which they are creatures of, how do we suppose that in order for them to accomplish their one world governmental system, how are they going to remove that? They have no power to do it. They need someone to do it for them. Now the only way that's going to happen is via revolution, like I mentioned. So the globalists and those who support the New World Order agenda would support you in your efforts towards revolution. If we think that once we topple our government that that's it, that they're just going to walk away, they toppled the government, guess we're beat, they're not going to go away. That's when they jump in and install their own form of government. If we think we're going to walk in and slap down a new constitution and make sure that everybody sticks by it, the moment our constitution takes a dive is the moment that theirs is already written and ready to go. And that's what they're waiting for. Why would you want to be a part of that? Canada is not one world government. Canada is not New World Order, at least not the way that they see it or would like to see it. They have work to do. They have been working towards creating this. If Canada was already New World Order or one world government, there would be no work for them to do. Mission accomplished. The questions we have to ask ourselves is, what are they going to have to do in order to accomplish this? Number one, Canada has to take a fall. Now ask yourself, how is that going to happen? What are the scenarios that can cause Canada to fall? Could it be a province wanting to separate? So we have to basically rewrite our constitution? That's not going to happen through an amendment. Is it going to be Canadians rallying around to create a republic? Well, in order to create a republic, you need to remove our constitution. Our constitution is not a form of republic. Could it be North American Union? Integration and harmonizing all of our laws, standards, policies, procedures, so that regardless of what you call it, it's the same thing anyways. Basically a shell called Canada, a logo. Canada is not a corporation. The British North American Act and our Charter of Rights do not purport to be a commercial document. The fact that we are listed on the exchange in America, which everybody likes to point to prove that Canada is indeed a corporation. Canada is not a corporation. Canada can have a corporation. Canada can act as if they are a corporation in order to run or administer their government. Corporations are really an effective way of structuring a business. We always put blame on our government for wasting money, and well, corporations do their best not to waste money. They're very good at cutting corners and saving money, and very innovative. A lot of us wish our government was more, or would act more like a corporation sometimes. But the fact is, you don't have to be a commercial corporation to be listed on the exchange. If you look at the numbers that we're listed as, there's one string of numbers that basically denotes what type of listing Canada is on the exchange. If you look up what that number represents, it represents a sovereign government, not a commercial corporation. Commercial corporations are assigned a different type of listing under the exchange. Even at the exchange, you can look up Canada's application to be on the exchange, where it clearly states who's in charge. It basically lists what Canada is, and nowhere does it list that Canada is a corporation. Read it for yourself. The problem I have with people calling Canada a corporation is they're the very same people that seem to want to change Canada or replace its system of government. The Republicans could be classified as this. They want to start a republic here in Canada. So what better way to do that than to convince Canadians that their country really isn't even a country, rather it's a commercial corporation, especially during a time when a lot of people have contempt towards corporations and capitalist systems. So let's try and call it a corporation so that when the globalists try and take it away from us, this thing called Canada, we won't give a shit because it's just a corporation. Who cares? It's very demoralizing. I wish people would stop playing into the very same agenda. People say that they've done their research, they know what, they've done their homework, but yet they don't even know what their enemy, their supposed enemy, wants. What is it that they want to accomplish? Ask yourself that. Try and picture their agenda totally realized. Can you imagine what that looks like? How it operates, what they would need in place, what they would have to do in order to accomplish it. If you can picture it in your mind, what they want to do, why would you participate in anything that remotely resembles that? Why would you help them accomplish their own agenda, the very thing you say you're fighting against? There will be no New World Order or one world government if they can't at least get Canada, the United States, and Mexico to combine as one nation under a North American Union. So in effect, if you can stop North American Union, you can pretty much stop one world government. That's where the focus should be. Our line in the sand should be Canada. We shouldn't be going around saying we need to destroy Canada, or we need to replace Canada, or we need to change Canada. We should be protecting Canada because they need to change what it is. Why would we help them change that? They are obligated. They have no power. It's expressly stated in the Constitution what Canada is, how it's governed. It defines our territories and borders, and they need to change all that stuff. Why would we help them do that? I plan on taking no part of any revolution that has in its agenda to tear down or to remove our crown in a time when that's exactly what the globalists and the New World Order fuck jobs need to do. Not going to be part of that. You can say I'm just sitting around on my ass making videos. That's your opinion. You can say I haven't done my research and that I don't know the whole story. That's also your opinion because you don't know me and you don't know what I've read and you don't know what evidence I've seen, and you obviously don't read my articles, because if you did, you wouldn't be going down the paths that you are. You would know what you're up against and you wouldn't play into it. It's very frustrating to want to protect your country from being taken over, and during that struggle you're meeting people that on the surface seem to want the same thing, want to protect Canada, but yet they participate and support movements and organizations that, if you really take a look at it, plays right into the exact same things that they want. The end of religion, creating a one world religion. How are they going to do that? First they have to tear down all religions. So when you go around saying religions have to be stomped out, they're the root of all evil, they've caused all of our problems, blah 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 blah, you're in fact saying the same thing that the globalists and the New World Order supporters are saying. They can't have one world religion when all religions are still independent and doing well. So if my enemy wants one world religion, guess what? I want more religion. I want religions to prosper. I want freedom of religion. I want the government to stay away from religion. They can support religious causes and things of that nature, because in our Constitution we have that right, and nobody can say that you can't practice whatever religion you want. It's up to you. It's your right. I'm not going to support any kind of movement that's going to interfere with that. Because once you start taking away or disregarding people's constitutional rights, you may as well throw the whole thing out. And I'm not prepared to do that, because that's also what they want us to do. If some of my friends disagree on things that I say, or I disagree on things that they say, doesn't mean that I disagree with everything that they say. Again, that's how I've come in contact with thousands of people through social networking, through YouTube, places like this. The truth is the truth, and I don't really care who you are, or what influence you have, or what movement you have going on, or what videos you create. If you're speaking the truth, I will support it. If you're spreading lies or working towards something that I know those who support one world government or New World Order are also working towards, I'm going to call you out on it. I'm not trying to be rude or trying to put a fork in the road to make it difficult for people to come together. If I was in any kind of organization or movement and someone inside that organization was spreading disinformation, or perhaps they just weren't informed of the facts and they were trying to make conversation, I don't know. But I would hope that people that know the truth within that organization would step forward and say, hey, that's not right. This is the way it is. And you can talk about it. But to reject criticism on certain key issues or points is kind of a waste of time, really. You either want to know the truth or you don't. And you may see me post things by Alex Jones, David Icke, whatever. I barely ever post those guys. But if I'm watching one of their videos and I see something that rings true, where they make a good point on something, I'll post it. If I see something that is bullshit or sensationalized or out of context, whatever, I'll say something about that too. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to stop criminal takeover of our country. It's time to get educated, to understand our system of government. It's time to put your ego aside and stop being embarrassed of our colonial past. Canada developed the way it developed. We had no choice in that. I do not put the blame on the system because the system has been usurped by a bunch of criminals. It's not the fault of the system that it's been usurped. It's our fault for being apathetic here in Canada towards our government. We're too busy worried about our jobs, about our families, and rightfully so. We don't have time to watch every little move our government makes. But if our government decides that they want to act outside of their powers, to act as if they have the power to do certain things, it's not the fault of the system that these people are personally breaking the law. It's the fault of those who are breaking the law. And those people should be held accountable personally. That can happen under any type of government, as I mentioned earlier. If you don't enforce the law, or if you're too busy worried about other things, do we expect the system itself to spring up to take on a physical life form and defend us against tyranny? No, that's our job. Unfortunately, that's going to be our job under any type of system. The moment that we stop doing our job is the moment that it starts happening again. I don't feel as though we have to destroy this slave ship and take it back from the master and swing the wheel and smash it into the rocks so it never sails again. I rather see it as our ship has been taken over by pirates. It's our ship. We paid for it. We built it. We worked at it. It was given to us by our forefathers, by your grandfather, your grandmother. It's been taken over by pirates. Why would I want to smash my own ship into the rocks to destroy it? What I'd rather do is take back my ship and throw the pirates overboard and sail my ship to safety so it can be restored to its former glory. I don't need a new ship. I don't need a better ship. I want my ship. The ship that it was before it was taken over by the pirates. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here, people. There's nothing in our Constitution that would repress us or allow us to be repressed. There's nothing in our Constitution that allows our government to hand us over to a foreign nation. There's nothing in our Constitution that we must be afraid of. So if our leaders are simply held accountable and are made to work within their constitutional boundaries, Canada will be alright, regardless of which political party is in power. It has been alright for since 1867. Sure, we've had skirmishes here and there, but in general, over the last 143 years, Canada's been a great place. It's been one of the best nations in the world. Why would you want to change that because it's been taken over by a bunch of fumbling fools who probably wear Velcro shoes to work because they're too stupid to tie up their own fucking shoelaces? I'm not going to put the blame on Canada because we've allowed a bunch of idiots in office. I'm not going to tear down Canada because a bunch of idiots have taken over office. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help support those who want to keep Canada exactly the way it is right now. I'm not talking about all the unconstitutional laws these idiots have passed. I'm talking about the Canada the way that it should be and could be if we were to use the tools that were given to us by Fathers of Confederation, the Founding Fathers. You don't think that they've left us tools? You think this is the first time in Canadian history that a prime minister or a leader has taken on authority that he doesn't have a right to take on? You don't think that those who put this country together thought that that might be a scenario and would have to be dealt with sooner or later? You don't think that they've left us tools to deal with that? Ask yourself, why aren't we picking up those tools and using them? Instead of going around saying we don't have a constitution and Canada is a corporation, maybe we should start learning what the rules are and using them the way that they were meant to be used. You cannot vote treason away. Treason is criminal. You can't vote on a criminal act. You can't say yes or no to something that is illegal. It's not the way it's solved. Criminal activity is solved the way all criminal activity is solved. The trick is they want to make us think that treason is political and that we can take care of it by going to the polls. That does nothing for the treason that's already been committed. I agree, if a leader, regardless of party, is involved in criminal activity or acts outside of their jurisdiction or is found to be in contempt, should be removed. I don't care if I voted for that party or not. If that person happens to be in the party I support, off he goes. Just wanted to give you a little bit of insight on how I see things. Thank you for listening. If you have any comments, you can leave them in the bottom. Thanks for watching.